Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to the ORL V8 Supercars Championship. This is the round at Roat Atlanta. It's a very good track. It's always been one of my favourites. And this is the grid for race number 1. I qualified in 8th position with a 22.6. Not a bad lap time. And looking to try and get into the low 22s. Now this race is going to feature probably the most dramatic crash I have ever seen in Forza history. It was honestly amazing. It involves this guy, the fastest man in Greece, JuularDT. This is the start of the race, going off the line at 220. I did not get the best of launches, as you can see here. Hayasa, who qualified just behind, getting a better run. That's going to give him the inside line for turn number 1. We're going to make contact, but luckily that doesn't really affect us too much. 2 people off behind, I think it was Datsun and Speed Freak, having a collision. Only 12 people in the lobby this time, slightly lower numbers compared to normal, but we still have the usual suspects up the front of the grid in Redline, Roadrunner, Brain, etc. Now coming through turn number 5, that is probably the most tricky corner to get right on this lap. I do have quite a lot of struggles with that corner. Up into turn 6, and then coming up into turn 7, he's going to bunch up here. Hayasa's going to go for a move on south, and he's not really going to come off there, so they're both going to lose a little bit of time. Hayasa's going to lose momentum, and we're going to test out the differing speeds in our tunes. Hayasa there, the only guy in the Nissan Altima. Plenty of guys in the Volvo, which I am driving here, and you can see that it's tuned for a bit better straight line speed compared to Hayasa. A bit too much, it seems, as I brake way too late, take out my teammate GTR South and lose us a lot of time. I lose a position there to Hayasa and go back down into 9th position. This is the problem I have often in these league races. I think I need a good couple of laps to get into the race, especially without the racing line or the braking line. I need to get into a groove, get into a rhythm, and then I drive a little bit better. But then losing another position to JuularDT, I just felt as though at this point I probably wasn't going to be in a good position to start blocking people. So then we go to the end of lap number 3, and this is where the best crash of all time is going to happen as we come down the hill, skipping ahead to Brain. He's going to drift sideways, smash into the wall, and this is going to leave him in a precarious position. As we come flying around the corner head on, he's going to see some lights coming flat out towards him, and he gets smashed. And JuularDT does a twist and pike in the air, triple backflip. I'm looking behind to see him get stuck in the air, and still he bounces back up. He does a mid-air jump, quite miraculously. Brain goes flying through the air, through the stratosphere, and then Juular comes down to land after many years. So please press F to pay Bill Gates. RIP JuularDT. So that was a very sad story. We move to lap number 4, or the end of lap number 4. This was a safety car period, and then as we enter lap number 5, the race is back underway, and it's going to be a very interesting start here. As we go into turn 1, 3 abreast, this surely is not going to end up well. Luckily I didn't go too deep there. Hayasa doing well to swing around the outside. He's getting very close and cosy now. So South is just going to resume his position in 6th, and I'm into 7th, and then Speed Freak just behind. Although Redline doing the pair of us to go through into 7th, so that was a very good overtake from him. And once again I was on the back foot. I didn't quite get the rhythm I wanted after the safety car period, so I'm going to go up the inside here. Well, it wasn't really a move, it was just I broke too late, and then giving Speed Freak the room, I slowed down massively on the exit of the chicane into the final turn. Speed Freak's got the position. I'm into 9th with brain damage on my right hand side here. As we come into turn 1, this is probably going to be the best driving I do in this race. He's on the inside, and I just casually drive around the outside to maintain 9th place. Probably the best thing I did in the race, to be honest. As we move to lap number 7, a little bit slow through the apex of 2. That's going to give Brain the run into 3 and 4. So he resumes 9th position. I stayed in 10th, which is not the greatest result. but it does mean that I start on pole position for race number 2, which was quite a daunting prospect. So here we go then, race number 2, pole position, 29 laps, so it's going to be around about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, a fairly long race. I don't get the best of starts, but then again no one else did really as well. Into turn 1, I had the inside line, Speed Freak on the outside, I maintained first place. Now from here on in, it's just a case of staying cool and making sure you just hit your braking points and hit your turning in points. There's not much of a distraction in front of you, so you have no excuses really for missing all of your points. So just trying to get away here, and if you can open up a gap, which I tried to do here, and it will just cause a bit of pressure onto the guy in second. The Speed Freak now, there's a bit of a gap between us. He actually disconnected here, so he leaves the game, so he disconnected. That leaves Hayasa in second. Now I have about 100 feet there, as you can see, so opening up the gap quite early, and you just want to get that gap as much as you can now before the really quick guys start to come through. Lap number 10, and you can see the race was still fairly close, but there was a safety car period, so all of my hard work in getting a decent lead was evaporated. We resumed the race at the start of lap number 11 then, so getting the jump at the start, as you can see there, brain damage going through on Hayasa, so I know that a very, very, very fast driver is now on my tail, but I mustn't let that phase me too much. We're going to run this lap here, lap number 11, just to see how I cope with the increasing pressure, knowing that someone of Brain's capabilities is on my tail now. So you would think that he would be very quickly catching up, but as long as I can just keep it consistent and put my car in the right places, then it's going to be very hard for him to catch up and then overtake. It is a fairly narrow circuit, this one. It is quite a tricky one to overtake around, especially through the first sector. It is one of those tracks where ideally you just want to go single file most of the time. It's this back straight really, this is the best overtaking place because it leads into a long braking zone where you can outbrake people essentially. That always leads to a good overtaking opportunity, but this time around he's not going to be close enough. We're braking just at the bottom of the hill, just before that first line, and we're going to go into the apex, actually a little bit too deep. I think I broke at about the right time, just didn't put enough pressure down. So 1 lap down there after the safety car period, Brain is right on my tail. Red line is through to third. I'm going to go a little bit wide as we go through the first turn. A couple of people pitting, so they don't want to get caught in traffic, so they can pit, resume in clean air and put in some good lap times, and then hopefully resume in front of the other people. So Brain there going through into first place. I wasn't too dissatisfied with that move because I felt maybe Brain could tow me along a little bit and keep me a little bit, just get me up to speed a little bit maybe. Hayasa there behind me, he was right behind, so he pitted, obviously not wanting to stay behind me too long, trying to get the undercut. So that lap had to be a good one to make sure I resumed in front. So 1 lap later, going into the pit lane, I didn't want to risk doing too many bad laps and then resuming the race behind him. So red line did get the jump on me, but Hayasa was still behind. As you can see, he is in 6th place, I'm in 5th. A couple of people still yet to pit, so Brain Damage in 1st place, still yet to pit, and I think Force 1 was ahead as well, still to pit as well. So we have Hayasa just behind, and we have Force 1 just behind him, I think, or is it Mr. Jack? I believe that is Mr. Jack actually. So Mr. Jack, one of the faster guys in this lobby, knowing that if hopefully Hayasa could keep him at bay for a while, and then that will lessen the pressure on me. Brain Damage goes into the pits then, and we're going to see how close I am. He was about 2 seconds ahead when I pitted about a lap ago, so hopefully we'll be still about 2 seconds behind him when we resume. Just trying to break the toe of Hayasa. I did have a quicker car in straight line in the slipstream. That always gives him a chance. Getting the brakes down a little bit better that time, as you can see. Hooking up with the apex nicely on the first apex and the second, powering out to the outside, and then we're going to early shift up into 3rd gear as we go over the crest into the final turn. A tricky one to get right, and we're just going to go slightly wide over the curb. That's going to put me on the back foot now as we enter lap number 17, turn number 1. You can see that proximity arrow glowing orange. We know that Hayasa is there, but we have kept him at bay for 18 laps so far, or 17 laps. So so I know that I can keep calm under the pressure of Hayasa's speed. I know that he is very fast, and any mistake I make will be capitalised on by him. Coming through 6, decent gap now. Mr. Jack through into 6th place. That's going to increase the pressure on me maybe. And then coming down the hill at the end of lap 17, red line just ahead there, bailing out of the race for a moment. So that's going to gain me a position up into 4th. And on lap number 19, a drag race between myself and Mr. Jack down the back straight into turn number 10 on the kink there, braking just before the line. And Mr. Jack he's going to put off a very good move, and I'm just going to have to settle for going in behind here. And well, it's that situation again. A fast guy goes past, you might as well just try and tag along, see how many laps you can stay with him, and hopefully he can pull you along and get you some decent lap times. So that is lap number 20, 5th place, not too bad. I was expecting to get overtaken definitely. There's no way I could win, stay in the lead for an entire 40 minutes with these kind of drivers. And then at the end, I did actually stay in 5th. Force 1 just ahead of me there. He pitted very late, and you can see that the gap wasn't too big, so I was quite pleased to stay fairly close to him. And in the end, we are going to finish in 5th. Hayasa dropped off a little bit behind me, and we're going to come around the final turn to cross the line to finish in 5th place. And that is one of my better results in this league so far, so very pleased about that. And there are the results. Roadrunner winning the race from Brain Damage, and Mr. Jack in 3rd. Teammates South and JuularDT a little bit behind. So the top GTR guy in that race, and overall is a very pleasing race for me. I think that 2nd race I raced very well, very consistently, and I felt like when I actually properly concentrate, I can actually race very well. It's just the setup maybe I could improve, and I think maybe I could step forward to try and get those podiums. But there we go, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video. I do hope you enjoyed that crash from JuularDT. Press F to pay your respects to Bill Gates and whatever. And I do hope you can join me next week for the next race. So that's going to be all for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, do hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.